Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Just Talking. I'm your host, Julius Freeman. Please welcome my guest, Brandon Starocci, writer and creator of the comic book series called AVALON that's currently live on Kickstarter. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's talk about your project real quick before I get into the questions. Give us a little summary of what AVALON is all about.
All right, so Avalon is it's like a zombie genre story. You're going to experience a new pandemic coming in through the eyes of the Castle family, is who we're going to follow in this story. So it's a normal family with normal problems. It's kind of hard enough for them already before this apocalypse kind of already hits them and all that stuff. So it's so with this apocalypse coming at bay here, it forces this family to deal with their issues amongst each other and all that stuff. So basically, the heart of the story here is going to be a fractured bond between the three brothers, is what we're looking at here. And you're going to watch how these brothers and this family kind of goes through their family issues with this apocalypse that's kind of punching them right in the face there. And it's just how they can kind of band together and all that stuff and get over their differences, because there's going to be some harsh differences that they've had with each other over the last couple of years of their lives. And then they've been kind of avoiding each other. How, like in today's day and age, you don't like your uncle or your cousin or whatever, you just don't talk to him for a while, or your brother, for instance. You just don't talk to him for a while, and then whatever. But now it's like you got to put those things to the side for a second here, deal with this immediate threat, and then but you still have that thing lurking behind you about the feud, the grudge match that you guys have amongst each other. So it's kind of like that is what we're going to be following. It's zombie genre that it's going to hold a lot of traditional zombie stuff, but we're also going to have a nice little twist to it. That is explained over the course of issues to come and all that stuff. So we're pretty excited about it. There's a lot of things in the zombie genre that I've enjoyed growing up watching. But there's a lot of things that I feel were missing in a lot of movies while I was watching growing up. So a lot of those things that I feel were missing, I'm putting into my story, and I'm showing people my interpretation of this whole thing. So that's basically the gist of it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I like that. I see. I like when writers look at all the cliches and they go, "Wait, they haven't done this yet," and then
Yeah.
you decide to do it and pull the trigger. We'll talk more in detail about Avalon, but first, I want to. My first question I want to ask you is: did you always want to be a writer for comics, or did you want to be a writer for movies or novels? What was it exactly that the trigger, I guess, that was pulled when you decided you want to be a writer?
Right. So about 7, 8 years ago, I was, high school and all that stuff. I was thinking to myself, what do I want to be? I guess my whole life I've been a movie guy. My dad was a big movie guy, so we're always watching movies, constantly watching movies. We go to the movie theater. We're watching movies from Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and then
Nice.
the evenings as well. So I've always been a big movie guy in that aspect. So with that being said, so senior year of high school comes up, I have to figure out what I want to do. And I've had this idea lurking in my mind too. Kind of, it wasn't called Avalon back then, but it was this idea I was brewing in my head. So I wrote down a bunch of things. I actually toured the New York Film Academy because I've always had an interest in film, obviously. So
Nice.
toured them. I figured that was way too expensive. There's no way I was going to be able to afford that. So I had to
Right.
come back home, and I went back home. I had to find some kind of job to get me by day to day and all that stuff. Then a year or two down the line, I met Alan Dingfelder, which is the co-writer, and he had his own projects he worked on years before I met him as well, which kind of he stopped, and now he's starting back up himself. So we came together to make. I don't know if you've seen it, but our company together is going to be 1282. So that's us.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it's not going. We're not using a company. It's our company. We're trying to brand with Avalon and other projects to come. But so we collaborated. I told him about this idea I had in high school. He loved it. So we kind of put all of our ideas together and formed issue 1 of Avalon. That's how Avalon officially came to life and all that stuff. So I was never. So that's how that came to life. The comic world, I was always into like your big Batmans, your stuff like that, Spider-Mans and all that stuff. I was never, because I've talked to people in the past where some people said they were like born with a comic in their hand. Like that wasn't unfortunately me. I wish I found the comic world when I was way younger and kind of like grew up with that industry and
Right.
and a bunch of the people who love that. I really wish I did, because it sounds fun. Now I'm glad I'm in it now, but it seemed like it would have been way more fun if I had a bigger imagination as like a child.
So since you were a aspiring filmmaker or screenwriter, or when was it that you actually were introduced to comics and you were like, "Ooh, this is something I could really get my hands on and really explore some things that I can't explore, for instance, like in movies." What
Yeah,
happened to you?
yeah. So that's an important part that you said at the end there is, and why we chose comics, because I am a big movie guy. I love seeing things. I love to see the camera works and all that stuff, and character interactions and their facial expressions, all that stuff. The original idea, when I wrote it down, was supposed to be a movie. Then I was like, okay. And then when I met Alan, we were like, okay, maybe we can make this a novel. Then I'm really big in the Walking Dead comics, and
Mm,
I constantly collect the covers and all that stuff. I'm still collecting the deluxe editions today and all that stuff.
nice.
So um, then I have like a whole stack in my room there. So then it's dawned on me that, hey, we should just make this a comic book, because then we could still kind of do movie like things, the pictures and all that stuff, and use the panels as like a camera work and all that stuff.
There you
And
go.
then we started thinking that way, and I was like, that's a cool idea. We're gonna get this. We're gonna write this issue down the best way we can. Like, and we kind of do it unorthodox, like, or like script and all that stuff. So in the meantime, I'm looking for an artist and all that stuff as well. But I'm a visual person. I never was a reader where I looked at a bunch of words on a paper. Or I'm like, I could never really do it. I need to
Right.
see it all kind of come to life. And I think that was the big kind of push for us to do the comic books. And it's, other than a novel, it's cheaper obviously to do a comic book than to actually hire a film or a
Right.
camera guy and all the editor and all that stuff and all that crazy stuff that goes along with movie making or short film or whatever it was. We think it has greater potential in the comic industry to do good that way, and then hopefully, I mean, because everybody's goal is to hopefully make their project a movie, film and all that stuff. But that's where our head was at with that.
So my next question, since you're part of the indie comic book scene
Mhm.
and you're using Kickstarter and crowdfunding platforms, which is a great approach, by the way, because that is the future for indie comics.
Yes.
Is no longer are we reliant on publishing houses, which are still good, by the way. I'm not knocking the publishing houses, but the fact that you went through crowdfunding was probably the smartest thing you and your writing partner could have done in order to get this funded and get this book out into people's hands. So my question to you would be this: would you remain indie forever if, say, for instance, the movie or the TV doesn't pan out, or if, say, for instance, Marvel Comics or DC Comics or some other publisher came knocking on the door because they saw your Avalon series and say, "Hey, these guys can write, these guys can produce a good story." Would you go that route, or would you try to stay the course to TV or film?
So it's definitely going to stay the course. Would I be interested in doing like a one shot with one of them? Of course, that'd be awesome and all that stuff. To experience that with them and be around that writing room and all that stuff and gain knowledge from other people that are in this industry and all that stuff. I would not want to work for them, if that, for lack of better terms. We're very focused on our branding, our production of 1282 and all that stuff, and trying to branch out. And one of our goals, obviously, this is a huge, faraway goal. Is all of our goals is to actually have like to be hopefully a publisher for other people for indie comics and all that stuff,
Oh,
and
nice.
really allow them to breathe, like sort of like how Image Comics is, from what
Right.
I understand. But in different ways where we're really giving it to them. If we like their project, we're gonna help them and get it out there and really get it to the public, and all that stuff. And really, like how big the sea is, like how many people have said, we would want to grab this. Okay, we like that. We're going to put you here and we're going to show you off as what it is. That would be way, way, way down the future. We're not looking at any, planning for that yet. We obviously have to build our own base, and that's what
Right.
Avalon is and all that stuff. So, but to answer your question, I would love to do a one shot with one of them just to learn, and because I like to be a sponge and take all the information I can get from anybody. That's one of my qualities that I like to do. I like to stay humble and just kind of learn from other people around me, better people around me, and all that stuff. So
Well, you mentioned the one shot. Now I'm curious to know, which character would you want to do? I know you mentioned Spider-Man's and Batman, but is there any other character that you may want to like get your hands on and be like, oh yeah, this is, if I had the opportunity, I would definitely want to write this character or characters?
Off the top of my head, I haven't really thought about it, but off the top of my head, it just who wouldn't want to do like a Batman? You know what I mean?
Mm.
I've grown up watching all the kind of Batmans and all that stuff, and I have all every time I watch a Batman, I'm like, I wish they would have. It's the same thing with this zombie story. I wish they would have done this. I wish they would have done that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's just Batman's like something that I always try. I always like to see the new Batmans, no matter who. I give them a chance, like with Robert Pattinson and all that stuff. A lot of people were like pissed that he got casted and all that stuff, but I'm like, you got to give him a shot. I mean, I really enjoyed the movie and all that stuff, but there's still in that movie alone, there's things I wish they would have done. But it probably off the top of my head would have to be Batman, I would imagine.
Is there a particular artist in mind that you have in mind, or just you would just write Batman and let them deal with the picking the artist?
I would love to use my artist now, but
There you go. That's the good. That's the right answer.
yeah, I would. I really would. But I would love to use him. But if it wasn't my chance, I mean, obviously, I would just let them just do their thing. You know, here's my. You hired me for this. There's what you got. Take that, and then do what you want with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Now you mentioned that you love the Batman movies, so I'm curious to know which of the Batman iterations is your favorite.
It's a damn close like tie between Ben Affleck and Robert Pattinson.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah, it really is. I love the brutality with Ben Affleck's Batman. I love his suit. His suit is one thing because I remember even saying it to my dad and my brothers and all that stuff. Is I wish they would do a black and gray suit. I wish they would just do a black and gray suit. And then that's when Ben Affleck gets casted, and then they show that the picture and of the Batmobile and the suit and all that stuff. And I fell in love with that suit immediately. I'm so glad they did that suit. I think that's what gives Ben Affleck probably the upper hand there is that suit. But yeah, those two would probably hand in hand.
Yeah, Ben Affleck was my wife's favorite.
Really?
Batman. Yeah.
He's just big. He's bulky. You know, he's brutal. You know, he's just the voice thing too. That was very unique, and
that was cool. Voice. That was very cool.
I love
nice
the
addition.
Voice too.
I remember when I watched we went to see that film together, and the moment when he stepped out of the car when Zod and Superman were fighting, like immediately she turns to me, she's like, "Oh my god, he's such a perfect Bruce Wayne. Like he's so perfect."
He is. He looks just like the comic Bruce Wayne. The chin, the hair, the big bulk. He literally is.
And he aged well too, so that helped a lot. So my favorite obviously is not obviously, it was Michael Keaton. That's
I feel like that's like everybody. I feel like, and nothing against Christian Bale. I love Christian Bale, but I feel like after these last couple Batmans, he's getting kind of thrown into the dirt there. Like you got a little bit. Keaton, you got those people who are just tried and true to Michael Keaton. They love Michael Keaton. It is what it is. And then now these new Batmans, it just almost. I hate to say it. I love Christian Bale. So in the future, if he ever sees this, I'm sorry, but he's almost irrelevant right now. You know what I mean? He really is as Batman. And I know there's still a true fan base that loves him and wants to see him do it again because there's rumors of him say if Christopher Nolan does it again, he'll do it. But I don't know. I like Ben Affleck and Pattinson right now.
Did you like the Christopher Nolan trilogy?
The first one, yes. The second one, of course, and then the third one got very dumb to me. I didn't like Gotham. I didn't like although I love Tom Hardy too. Like I know to try to do a realistic Bane and all that. So I didn't like the third one that much. I didn't. Okay. And I think what really did it for me was the Gotham. The Gotham he was portraying was so. It looked too much like Pittsburgh, and I know they filmed it there too, but it looked way too much like Pittsburgh. Gotham is a fake place. Make it run down, beat up, corrupt city. You know what I mean?
Like in the first film, right?
Yeah,
like in the first
film. That's what I'm saying. And when they had the underground city and all that stuff, I'm like, what happened to that? Like, would you just your budget go away or something? Like, I don't understand what happened. Like,
he got too big for his britches, I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
What would you say is the most difficult obstacle you faced as an indie comic book writer?
Is trying to prove to people that this is like the comic to read in this genre. I'm not going to sit there and speak for other people who don't like the genre and all that stuff. It's to prove to people that this is the next zombie comic, I guess is for the lack of a better term. is because I know for some people zombies are overdone. To some people, the zombies, and I don't believe this, but there's a lot of people that think the zombie genre is done. I actually have a group of people. We just made a group on Facebook. It's called Zombies Live, and it's basically to prove that it's not like romance is gone. It's not
Right.
like action or whatever thriller noir
Yeah.
is gone
Right.
or whatever. Those are all genres and all that stuff. It's not like, but the zombie is its own genre. It built up enough to be its own genre, and we believe it's still alive. But I guess the hardest thing again is to prove to people that this is worth your time. And like we talked about before, like with the sea of all these indie comics, and now the sea of all this zombie stuff, so it's trying to show you that this is good. Trust me. It's hard to have people trust me when they don't know me either. So it's
Right.
just like I believe time will tell. I believe with story arcs and progression and all that stuff, people will kind of be like, oh yeah, I mean, I like the way this happens and all that stuff. I just cannot mess this up for at least 6 to like 8 issues. Because if I mess it up, I think I'm dead in the water. But I think we got a good six issues so far is what we got. I think those are really good.
How do you approach? Because you mentioned earlier that you wanted to be a screenwriter, right, or a film director?
Both a screenwriter,
Both.
film director, yeah, kind
Okay.
of just in that
So
world. Yep.
so now that that's kind of taken the back seat of sorts, but it's still a goal, obviously. But I'm curious to know how you approach working with artists when you write your comic book script. What's your approach? Are you a detailed type of writer where you write detailed descriptions per panel to tell exactly what you want, or do you give the artist a little bit room to breathe to interpret your words? How exactly is your approach to writing comics?
Yes. So it kind of evolved over the last year and a half. So I've had this artist for about a year and a half now. And we actually just had a conversation not too long ago because he's from Greece.
Okay.
We talked through social media and all that stuff. And there's rare times where we've talked through like video chat and all that stuff. But the last time we did talk, I told him that I hold issue 2 a lot closer to me than issue 1. And that being the reason because over the year and a half, I see through the project that we both worked on together grow and our relationship grow with that as well. Issue 1, I was very strict. Issue 1, I was very like, it needs to be this way. It needs to be
Yeah.
like, no, you got to do this, you got to do that, and all that stuff. And it was almost building that bond and that trust over the time period and all that stuff. And issue 2 really shows the growth in our relationship because the issue 2, I love it. So not anything bashing 1, and he says the same thing. It's nothing against issue 1, but it just shows the growth. In issue 2, the art is better. It changed a little bit. It's more Avalon in my eyes. It shows Avalon the way I perceived it originally. The panel layout he does perfectly. He does it in such a good way, the exact same way I want to see it in my head with like how it's a camera angle. So you're watching the panels move like it's like camera work, and he does that very, very well, and he's only getting better at it. So I'm giving him a lot more freedom, is for the lack of a better term. Like kind of to answer your question there too. Just there's things that I want. There's a lot of things I'm strict about, but there's a lot of things now that I let him kind of just. Here's what I got. This is how I explain the panels and what I want. I give the dialogue and all that stuff, and then I have him just do what he thinks, and then he sends me pencils, inking, and color stage, and he sends me the pencils. We kind of go over it. If I want a certain character to look a certain way or whatever, I say it. But more often than not, lately it hasn't been that way. He's been hitting the nail on the head every single page he's been sending me.
Nice.
So he's been awesome. I'm so lucky to have found him and all that stuff. So our relationship has really grown over time.
So essentially, you've learned to trust him with
Yes.
your
Yes.
baby. Essentially,
Yes.
nice.
Yeah.
So he's earned his stripes in your
Yes.
eyes.
In
Yeah.
my eyes, definitely. Yeah. I don't know if he trusts me yet, but I guess he doesn't need to because all I'm doing is like, here, you do this. But yeah, I
Right.
definitely trust him. He's done a phenomenal job with issue 2. He's working on issue 3 right now as well. He's doing an awesome job.
There wasn't any growing pains in the beginning there when you first started working with them, because I know typically from my experience, I've worked with artists in the past who were, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, standoffish at my aggressive approach to making the comics. So,
Yeah.
was there any growing pains, or was it just absolutely just a straight up professional relationship where it's like, okay, you're the boss, you're the writer, you tell me what to draw, and I'll just do it.
He does that. He does that. He's basically, it's your, he told me several times, so it's your project, but this is my he gives a lot of good suggestions, and honestly, again, more often than not, I take his suggestion because, and I tell him too, I give him the credit where it's due too. I'm like, you're the artist, you see a lot of things visually. I mean, although I preach up here that I do as well, he's literally making the page. He loves comics, I would argue, probably more than I do, so he sees it all. He's the artist. I give him that, I guess, power, whatever you want to call it, that freedom to do so, because he sees it in his head sometimes better than I do. And but at the end of the day, he'll give me a suggestion. He's said numerous times, it's your book, it's your thing. If you don't want it, that's fine. We'll scratch it and all that stuff. And I'll tell him most times, like, no, it works. I love it. Looks great. In the beginning, I probably made more of those. There wasn't there weren't problems. He was always on it. He was always a go-getter. He was always like, let's do it. That's fine. Whatever. If you want it this way, I'll change it that way and all that stuff. So he was awesome throughout this whole process, even through issue 1. I was probably being more of a pain. You know what I mean? Just because I wanted to be so strict with it. Yeah. But I definitely lightened up a lot. And our relationship, like I said too, is really good right now. And I love what he's given me right now.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I always like hearing stories like that, because it's always tragic when you invest so much time and effort and money into your project as writers, from one writer to another, and for it to just fall apart, because I've had plenty of those experiences where we're going and in the middle of it, it's like, oh, can't do it no more. Sorry. And it's like, that's just too much money. Before
the guy I got, I get it. I had 2 other artists before him, and wow, did that not work? That stalled a lot of it too. But fortunately, obviously, it led me into getting him and having this project now. And honestly, writing wise, it made me reflect on the script, and I was like, wow, I was really going to publish this. So Alan and I, we kind of looked at it like, wow, we need to rewrite this. So we rewrote it, and we're really happy with what we got now. We don't know what we were thinking back then, but it's definitely all a learning curve, and we're at each day that goes by is getting better and better and better, and it hasn't went down at all. It's been a steady upflow for since we released issue 1, and we're really excited with what we got.
Out of curiosity, how many drafts did you have to go through before you finally were like, okay, this is it? If you want to share that information to the viewers.
Yeah, no, it's fine. For issue 1, it was like, I want to say like maybe 2 official drafts that we had to like go back to. So the third time's a charm, is basically the one we're using. So nice. So we did a first draft. That's the one we're like, wow, we need to go back through this. I went through that. We both went through that, and then got that done. Then we had a ghost editor that doesn't want their name or anything out there. So we like to surround ourselves with a good team to make sure this is all on the tracks. It doesn't.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's great that you hired an editor. I think that's what's lacking in today's indie comic book scene, is that they don't hire editors to look at their stuff.
I'm curious to why not. I don't know if it's just because they think their head's bigger than their body or something.
I think that's what it is.
I don't want to be that way. I want to get as much approval and as much people looking at like, yes, that's good, that works. Because I have a lot of wild ideas. And then I try to throw them on paper, and then sometimes, I mean, Alan is kind of more or less this as well. He's like, whoa, slow down. Let's see what we got here. Let's pick that, throw that out, pick this, we'll put this in there. Okay, yeah, yep. And then I start to see, then I get back on the tracks. I'm like, yep, perfect, I got it. And then I start to flow it again, because he helps me write it, but he's more of like an editor, if that makes sense, Alan.
Yeah.
So I kind of get all these ideas on page, and we kind of go through it together and make sure it flows proper and all that stuff. And then, like I said, the ghost editor, I wish I can give her the credit for it, but she hasn't given me like the okay to do it. I want to give her the credit where it's due, but yeah, she keeps me on track as well to make sure that this isn't going anywhere it shouldn't. And that's why I'm glad I have everybody I have around me doing this project to make sure it could be the best it could be.
So that's a great segue to your Kickstarter, AVALON 2. So you're 129 out of a pledge of 2,000, which is a great goal, by the way. 2,000 is a very
Yeah,
doable
it's a
goal.
very doable goal. I feel, and we could do a lot with the 2,000. That's why we didn't want to overshoot, because I've seen people who would, I don't even know. I don't even know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But I didn't. We didn't want to overshoot. And I think that's a good goal to kind of do what we want to do. We want to print it. This is going towards the printing, and this is going towards some promotion. This is going towards, because we're from Erie, PA, and we have a lot of good cities around us. We have Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and all that stuff. So
Mm,
this allows us to expand and go to events and kind of expand our radius as well,
nice.
and go to events and do things and meet people, because that's always obviously fun as well as meeting the people and all, and selling ourselves and showing them what we got in person and all that. But I think
So
2,000 is a good goal.
so you're planning on I guess traveling through the Comic-Con circuit, the convention circuit with this book?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, currently we're doing our local Comic-Con, and also Erie has a Horror Fest as well that's in October. We're going there as well. So we're trying to get to as many vendor places as possible where we can kind of show ourselves and meet people and really get into a crowd and all that stuff, because I feel like those are the best opportunities as well. And those are the ways that I feel like they used to be done. You have to sacrifice some
Yeah.
money, and you have to show your face, sell yourself, and show what you got. So we like to hold those traditional values as well.
And the artist is fantastic too. I was looking at these pages earlier before our interview, and I was like, wow, this is really impressive. Is it going to be in black and white?
So if you look at the update section, that's just the inking stage for those pages.
Okay.
So pages 1 through 23 are black, white, and blood. It's going to show blood. And
Oh, nice. Okay.
yes, and the last page is gonna give you that punch with the color, and that's something that we're gonna hold in every single issue that we move forward. It's that last page is always gonna hit you with that punch of color, and to show you where our head is at and what color we see things in, and all of that stuff as well, and to expose or show how good our artist can do the color as well, because that he does another phenomenal job. He's just an amazing all around. He does the inking, all that stuff, and drawing and the color and everything. We have a catch-up tier as well. If you haven't read issue 1, it's the $15 pledge. You get
Oh,
issue 1
nice.
and 2. So for people who are just seeing us now, we give them that opportunity to get it and all that stuff. And we have 2 covers as well that we posted in the update section. We have a cover A and a cover B that he also did a phenomenal job on.
Here we go. This one here.
That's the poster that we're going to be making. That comes with the packages. So you get the 3 brothers there with the title.
So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's Avalon 2, currently on Kickstarter. If you're into zombies, and you said it was a story also about brothers, right? 3 brothers who relationships are broken and they're going to mend.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, if you're a zombie person, you'll love it. If you are a thriller, drama, like noir kind of feeling too, like noir is something that we're also focusing on as well, and kind of making it like a crime kind of feel as well. Like there's going to be a lot of elements in this story that grow over time as well. We're not focusing just on like the end of the world, kind of like The Walking Dead. It's not going to be like, here's the family, it's the end of the world, watch them survive. There's going to be elements that, and some of these family members past, that kind of creep up to them in this world that allow these bad people do things, and allow them to do things and all that stuff to these people that we're going to grow to love and care about as well. And one thing we focus on, Alan and I, as the writers, is we want to make these characters as real as possible.
There you
We
go.
want to make them talk real. We want sorry, we want to make them talk real. We want to make them act real. We want to make like there's a character, a small little thing I'll tell you in issue 1 that you grow to learn that he looks like he has a lot of anxiety that he's dealing with, and a lot of a lot of things in the zombie genre they don't focus on mental health. They don't focus on pre-existing injuries and all that stuff. So we're focusing on pre-existing injuries, real injuries, medication things that people have to take medications for certain things that you're not going to be able to get when the apocalypse kind of hits you. So it's kind of one of those things that you kind of have to, what now? And those are a lot of things that I feel we're missing in the genre that we're going to apply in this comic, where say somebody takes a medication for something, like what happens when this happens? What do I do? You know what I mean? Those are going to be real concerns that these characters have to deal with and figure out as this apocalypse is right in their face there, and you got to figure out, hey, I need this medication to survive, or I can't do this. I need my therapist or my therapy because
Mm.
this person's dealing with a lot of severe mental health and all that stuff. So, and it just, a lot of that real life human acting thing is going to be implemented in our comic.
One last question. What advice would you give a new writer who's they're thinking about making their own project, their own comic book project? What advice would you give this person in order for them to at least make their journey relatively painless?
Yeah,
because there's always pain.
you had to laugh at that one too. So yeah, I guess the first thing is don't get discouraged if there is pain, because like you said, there's always going to be something that
Yeah.
doesn't go to plan. There's always going to be something in the way. There's always going to be something telling you not to do it. But if you have a true love and desire to do it, and you have something in your head that you think people need to know, it's as simple as just doing it and going through those obstacles, because life's an obstacle as it is. It's not going to get any easier if you just stop. Okay, I don't want to do this comic or whatever the project is. I'm just going to live normal life. Normal life is just as hard as doing a comic or making a movie or making a band or whatever you want to do, whatever creative thing you want to do. It's as simple as doing it. If you have a vision, do it. There's always going to be obstacles. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, because there's always going to be somebody better than you. Always look out for it. Always take advice. Don't be egotistic. Don't, let your get full of yourself and all that stuff, like, oh, this is the best. I looked up this stuff and I went to school or whatever. Surround yourself with better people than you. And that's the key that I think that drives you to success, is going through the obstacles, knowing it's going to be hell, and there's going to be fun moments, but the whole thing is not going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of stress. There's going to be a lot of bullshit that you got to
Yeah,
deal with. But knowing
absolutely.
all those things, is being self-aware, just push through it. If you want to do it, just go through the obstacles, because it's not going to be bad. It's not going to be something. If you ditch it, your life's going to be easier. It's just going to be the same hell normal life brings. Your car blows up, or
Mm.
somebody breaks in your house or something like that. You lose your job. So
Yeah.
just deal with it. If this is something you love, just do it. It's as simple as that.
Great advice. Great advice. Where can people find you, Brandon?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like I mentioned, Patreon, Redbubble. Um, we have a Shopify that we are currently selling poster and issue 1 on as well. I mean, you might as well just get it in the Kickstarter, because we're doing the catch-up tier in the Kickstarter for the next 22 days. So each one of those social medias, we have a link tree. So all of our links are in one area. So if you just
Okay.
find one of us, you can find all of us. So that's basically where you can get us at. Just search us on any social media platform, and then there's always going to be a link tree in the bio.
His links will also be in the description below in the video, guys. So if you do want to get your hands on this book, just click on the link on the description below. It'll take you to the website, and you can take it from there. Give him a follow. This guy sounds like he has a solid story to offer you guys, and that's what the main complaint that I've been hearing from a lot of readers is that there isn't there's never any fresh takes on old genres. Well, here I think it's safe to say that Avalon does that very thing. It offers a fresh take on the zombie genre. Like you said, it's still the zombie genre is still alive and well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Walking Dead is a big hit. I mean, if the zombie genre was dead, then Brad Pitt would have never produced and made World War Z, right?
Yeah,
It's safe to
yeah,
say.
no, right, exactly. I think it's, again, I think it's still here. I think people just look at it in a negative way. I think it's just like anything. I think it's like a romance, or what, if you like
Right.
romance, you like war movies. A genre is a genre. I think it's been flooded in the recent years, but I think there's a lot of things that are missing from a lot of those big projects. And like we were saying earlier, we're putting a lot of those things into Avalon that are missing in those genres, and it is definitely a unique kind of feel to the genre, and it holds the traditional values as well. So we're not trying to make our own genre. We're holding
Right.
traditional values, but we're making unique story that goes with it, and things that other movies and the genre were missing, and we're really throwing these in our story.
Fantastic. So give the guy a follow. Give Brandon a follow for Avalon Comics. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more of these interviews, subscribe to the channel. Help the channel grow so that way I can find more writers and give them the spotlight that they deserve. Because without writers, you wouldn't be coming back to read comics, guys. That's just the reality of it, right? You go into a comic shop, you look at the wall of new comics, and of course, the artwork will always catch you. It hooks you, right? But the stories are what bring you back month after month after month.
Yep.
And don't forget that. We deserve some love and respect too, guys. So subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the like button. If you want to see more of this stuff, let me know in the comments who you want me to interview. I'll be more than happy to have them on my show, and we could have a discussion like we just had now with what I had just had now with Brandon. So with that said, good night, everyone. Have a good one. Stay safe. I'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.